Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back again.
How are you guys doing?
Yes, how are you guys?
Well, things are dry over in Mexico. Look at this, drought conditions covering 85% of Mexico. Lakes and reservoirs are drying up, so it's not just the American West that is having this issue.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's a huge percentage.
85%. That's the worst in 30 years. And you got people that have lived in areas all their life and they've never seen something like this going on, to the point where, the fish are going to be flopping on dry ground.
That makes me really sad. When I was little, I used to go rescue tadpoles from that.
I did too.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've rescued many starfish too that got beached over the years, especially in Charleston. This is part of the bigger thing that's going on. So why do we have some areas absolutely dry as a bone and other areas too much rain? Is it just a natural solar cycle? Or is there some artificial flavoring involved?
Well, we know how they like to never let a good crisis go to waste.
So in Michoacan, the country is at risk of losing Lake Cutzeo. It's the second largest lake. Now, this is actually where my family comes from my father's side, Michoacan. 75% of the lake bed has dried up.
That's really horrible.
And of course, then you have forest and things like that are drying up as well, which increases the chance of wildfires. So let's all send a message and let's pray for rain for the West and for Mexico, and may any sort of artificial flavoring that's being used have its circuits fried.
Absolutely.
Sounds good to me. Yep. Exceptional widespread frost to cut wine output by nearly a third in France. And I have to admit, it's been a while since I've had a French wine, but they are actually typically my favorite.
I'm not a wine person, but I'll drink it.
Yeah, she's not. She's a teetotaler. Every time out, unsweetened tea, please.
Yay.
Unsweetened tea. This is the unsweetened tea lady, which I have to admit, if it's any time during the day, yeah, that's the same thing with me. Unsweetened tea. I love unsweetened tea.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But you have exceptional frost damage to the vineyards in France this month. It's going to reduce potentially wine production by a third. So obviously, prices are going up. We've been told to brace yourselves for those trips to the grocery store next month. Things are going to be going up. The worst affected regions include Burgundy. Average losses initially at about 50%. This is sad for sure. And we also have a swarm under Lake Tahoe. A series of earthquakes hit this morning. Small, yes. But is it a foreshadowing? As you see right here on the border with Nevada. Is it a foreshadowing? Could be. As we see the area there. But this area has really had swarms before. We've been watching swarms in this area ever since that larger one over by Tonopah, just west of Tonopah, which woke us up.
It sure did, yeah.
As we were sleeping in the desert when it hit, and we felt it several hundred miles south of there.
It was a big deal for us.
Yeah, we thought there was two gigantic men just pushing the camper around. So here we see an invisible fault in Datong City in China. And, there's a lot of hidden faults around the world that, seems like we're discovering now with the satellite imagery that is available. And of course, these areas are populated.
They are.
So yeah, earthquakes along this fault ranging from 9,930 years ago to 23,550 years ago. And it's been about 10,000 years since the last larger one there. And you remember that Botswana fireball back in 2018? Well, they say it was likely an asteroid, a piece of asteroid Vesta. And asteroid Vesta is, a very large one, second largest object in the asteroid belt. So that's what they're saying. They think that is perhaps a piece of the asteroid Vesta.
Very interesting.
It is curious. And so checking the KP index, we see that we did hit a G1 level here, KP index going up to a 5. Things do seem to be increasing. What will the solar maximum bring? That'll be interesting. 2024, 2025 is going to be I think that's the hang on tight part. I mean, we're in hang on tight now, and I think it's going to go up. Cindy's gotten a message from the guides that I'm trying to figure out how do we say it without triggering too many things, and that'll be in a forthcoming video, perhaps tomorrow morning. But 2024, 2025, I think once we make it through that time period, then perhaps we'll be into times that may not be perfect, but they might be starting to head in the right direction, perhaps.
I know. Let's just hope for things to go in the right direction and work out smooth.
So this new radar can scan Earth's surface through anything, any obstacle. And this is from Russia. So they've created a new radar remote sensing that can be used in aircraft and spacecraft. You can't hide anywhere anymore. You want to get behind a couple feet of lead? Yeah, it's not going to work, guys.
Nope, no more.
By the way, did SpaceX craft just have a near miss with a UFO? Yeah. Hours after its successful launch at NASA's Kennedy Space Center on the 23rd, the Dragon, let's just name it after the Draco outright. Yes. Not all dragons are Draco, we know. So the Dragon spaceship crew received a stark warning from the Pentagon about them being on a potential collision course with a mysterious space object. I think these things are going to happen a lot more in the future.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure.
The SpaceX craft seems to have had a near miss with an unidentified object. It's called a UFO, guys. UAP. Let's just rename it. So while recently heading towards the International Space Station, Futurism reported, adding that the 4-strong crew was at one point warned of a potential collision. Source is unknown. The object, initially thought to be a grave threat, was mapped at a worrisome distance from the Dragon spacecraft, merely around 28 miles away at its closest point. In terms of space travel, that's a dangerous one. Now, it all depends, though. Is somebody orbiting? Is somebody in it piloting it, or is somebody remotely piloting it? 28 miles, long distance. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, if it's a rock or something like that out in space, just traveling on its own, yeah, that's worrisome.
Yeah, a little bit.
And, of course, it gets into the space junk threat, which, yeah, there's 900,000 objects between 1 centimeter to 10 centimeters out there. 34,000 objects over 10 centimeters in length currently whizzing around the Earth. And we're adding to that all the time, too, with everything that we've been putting up there. So China is eyeing an asteroid defense system. And they are also eyeing a comet mission as they get ready to take over the leadership of this planet, as has been designated by that group that begins with an I and ends with an I, and we'll leave it at that.
And yep, right there.
Or we could say, the draconian system of planetary control. So China is holding discussions on building a defense system against near-Earth asteroids, a senior space agency official said on Saturday, as the country steps up its long-term space ambitions. Oh yeah. Very, very, very interesting. Another sign of the times. Speaking of signs, here we see early signs of man found buried in abandoned Saharan gold mine.
Oh, very curious.
Well, especially when we go back and see here some of the earliest signs of human life dating back about 1.8 million years ago have been discovered in a gold mine of all places.
Well, imagine that.
Isn't that a quinky dink?
I don't know. That's just so amazing.
Hey guys, I might sneeze. I
I heard that.
heard what? I'm sorry. I couldn't hold it. I just Had a little Saharan dust go up into my sinuses.
I know. Poor gold miners. Who would have ever thought?
And Homo erectus, right? Homo erectus, ancestors of humans, Homo sapiens, or one of them, thought to be one of them. Mm-hmm. So tools belonging to Homo erectus. But Homo erectus couldn't get the job done. It just was not smart enough. Maybe it did not obey enough. Maybe, maybe it just needed a little tweaking.
Yeah, just a little more tweaking to get it to obey. You did it again.
Yes. So, isn't that interesting? Boy, it really kind of goes along with some stories I've heard in the past.
I know, and if you look at the picture here, they finally figured it out right there.
Bzzzt.
Yep.
And again, that doesn't mean that the eternal part of us has anything to do with them.
That's true.
In a positive sense.
Super positive.
For source is within us. The source, the power, the force is within us.
All of us.
Every single one of us. So they are not any better than us. Perhaps technologically, and perhaps they know how to manipulate things a little bit better. But that is all.
It is.
Thank you guys for being part of the family. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Anybody needs to make an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.